honored and privileged to have the man, the Pope, Elijah Burke, is on the line. How are you, sir?
All's well, man. All is well, all is good. Pope is pimping in the hood. I think we all know that. But I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed, and I'm happy to be a part of your 1-year anniversary. Congratulations to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. All right, let's go into the questions here. The first thing I have to ask you is Elijah, what inspired you to pursue pro wrestling, and tell us about your early days of wrestling?
Early days of wrestling. Well, there was one inspiration amongst many, that is, but the main being, watching NWA growing up down in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, that is, and, watching NWA and World Class Championship Wrestling and seeing the likes of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, the Horsemen, Rock and Roll, and all those guys. It was just something that my dad, all credit to him, and as far as having me on his, at his foot, on his knee, and whatever the case may be, at his side, whenever he was watching his wrestling shows. And it was just something that my whole, a lot of us in the family grew up watching. And after church services, we would go home and eat Sunday dinner and wait for, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock wrestling, whatever it may be. So that's really what inspired Pope. But again, none other than the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He at the time was like the only black wrestler that we had to look up to. The closest, he was the closest thing to it, Daddy. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, Rocket King was trying, but he wasn't getting far. So
wine and dine with pork and beans.
There you go. He was the only one, and that is a sad thing. It's not necessarily sad, but Pope feels that's a situation. Whereas today we still can't translate or reach out to a certain demographic, a certain place, if you would, where a superstar can relate on a positive level. Dusty was able to do that, and not to take away from Dusty's talent, but obviously the man was so talented, and now we know, because of history, he was also the booker, so he can go out there and he can do that. And he can reach out, your hand to my hand, and be that Baptist preacher and be and be that black Southern type talker that can relate to me. But that's something that we oftentimes, that's what Pope, that's what Pope is about. Just keeping it real. And I think we just miss that. It's always been a certain way, and I think we need more of that. We need to reach out. We got our Rey Mysterios to reach out to the Hispanic. We got our Del Rios, you know what I'm saying? But what do a person like Pope have right now to influence my younger followers, my younger brother, my nephew? What do we have to inspire them from a wrestling standpoint?
Mm-hmm. Very great point there.
At least to relate to, I want to see somebody. I want to see somebody doing something on a national level that can be from my hood, that can be from my neck of the woods, that can be from my town, that can be from my project. I mean, I don't know, but thank God for Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, especially that Hard Times promo he did.
That did it.
That's what really did it right there. That's really set the standard for just blue collar,
and it transcended. It transcended. It wasn't a race. It wasn't a certain people. That transcended to all people. And that's and while we do have some individuals and characters that can do that, but like I said, it's very rare today.
Absolutely. Awesome. What wrestlers did you compete against early in your career that became stars in the WWE? So basically, you had some matches with some people back in the day, and that was just grooming them to be, the stars that they are now. Can you think of any?
Well, I don't think that I groomed any of them or whatnot. I do. I mean, we started, I was a part of their journey. I mean, the obvious choice and person that comes to mind is CM Punk, with our feud that we had, and the many matches that we wrestled each other. And I'm sure his name is going to come up again in this interview. But yes, CM Punk and everybody else that I pretty much wrestled or feuded with were already established individuals or legendary. I had to fuse with the Tommy Dreamer and the Ballsy Mahoney, and God, where is he? Ballsy, give me a call. Gosh, Ballsy Mahoney, and and again, when I got to TNA, the other guys were already established, the Samoa Joe and the AJ Styles. Great guys that I really enjoy working with.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. All right, well, talk about your WWE debut when you was with Sylvester Terkay.
Sylvester Terkay, the man bear, if you will. Gosh, Pope was a little naive to terms, but I guess that was a rib. But yeah, the man bear, Sylvester Terkay, he was the most gentle, misunderstood giant that there could possibly be. I mean, Sylvester is one of the coolest and gentle and kind-hearted guys I think I've ever been around in the business. But, man, did this guy ever snore. And when he snored, we shared some hotel rooms together, and I miss, I don't know if you ever come across this stuff, but Sylvester, I miss you. But there's a story I'm going to tell really quick if I have the time.
Go for it.
Myself, great, thank you. Myself, Pope was going to do it anyways. But myself, Ariel, I ain't going into Pope mode yet, Daddy. Myself, Ariel, and Sylvester, we had a room, and Ariel, me and her, I call her my sissy. We had a pretty cool, and still do have a cool relationship. And we stayed up and we were watching the Hall of Fame. I can't remember which one it was, but I know it was when Greg Gagne got inducted. And we were sitting on the bed, and Sylvester, the man bear was over there hibernating. And we were watching it, and all of a sudden, in the midst of his loud snoring and calling hogs, this man let out a fart that made you think a volcano was about to erupt. And when he did it, and it just caught us off guard, Ariel, Shelly, Martinez, she jumped, and she grabbed me because she was so scared, and we didn't know what it was, and then all of a sudden we heard, and I said, that's just the man there. So he had to get him some relief. So that was a funny story that I like to share about the man there, Sylvester Terkay. Good guy, awesome. Great guy.
Awesome. How about your ECW run with the New Breed?
Oh man, that was the obviously, again, I think a lot of people are unaware that Pope was only maybe I'm celebrating my 10-year anniversary as well as you guys celebrating your first, so that's pretty cool. This is my 10th year, so I've hit that decade mark, and thank you very much. And so Pope was pretty much still I'll say a rookie, just 2 years on the 2 years or so, right at 2 years on the big screen, if you will, of the WWE. Straight out of that developmental territory. I've never wrestled the indie scenes or anything like that. So to be in that position and to have Vince McMahon, anoint me, ordain me, have confidence in me to be the quote-unquote leader of the group, the mouthpiece and whatnot, that was something that was a high point at the time, definitely, in my career and his. And we were with a great group of other characters that all had their own, internally had their own agendas, if it wasn't known. I mean, everybody wanted to make it. Everybody wanted to succeed and surpass the others. So, I don't know if it was well received that this little black boy from Jacksonville, Florida, had to be the mouthpiece, but at the same time, I think we all did what we had to do to try to make it work, even if sometimes, we other people thought otherwise, or we disagree, but what family don't?
Yeah, absolutely.
What,
I mean, especially
what
to have, especially to have that soon into your career, to have a marquee match at WrestleMania 23. That's a big deal. There's not a lot of people that can say that. So.
I don't think some things I try to hold back in these interviews, but I'm gonna share something with you that I never share with anyone else, because you got to try to keep stuff for your own personal archive, for your book and whatnot, if you decide to do that. So I try to hold on to some things, but I'll share this one with you to let you know how big of a moment that was for me, how much that moment meant to me. I went up to the Undertaker in Ford Field in Detroit. I'll never forget it. I went up to him in the locker room. And, people, some of the boys was coming in and out. But out of respect, I was so taken back and in such awe about what was about to go down. I just went up to Taker, and I just had to thank him. I thank Taker for allowing me to be there. I thank Taker for having the opportunity, to share the dressing room with him, and also to be a part of, I think, in my estimation, as per the records, the second largest attended WrestleMania in history. And he grabbed, and while I was talking to Taker, I couldn't do nothing but bust out in tears like a little 15-year-old girl meeting Justin Bieber or something. I don't know. But I broke down, and Taker, just like the father figure he is to a lot of us, he just reached out and he grabbed me and he pulled me in real close and real tight. I don't know if it was to keep me from saving face or just to console me, but, he just grabbed me. He said, "This is what it's about." And he say, "Don't worry about it, man." He say, "We love to see this. We love to see this." And he said, "Enjoy the moment." Yeah, man, I'll never forget that.
Wow.
I mean, how many grown men can say they was hugged and consoled by the Undertaker,
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, the mentor that he is, for him to,
Right.
share that moment with you, that's phenomenal for sure.
And it's cherished. I'll never forget it. Tears rolling out my eyes. And he said, "This lets me know that you want it." And he said, "This is what we like to see." He said, "Enjoy this moment. You deserve it." And I appreciate that always.
Wow. That's awesome. Right. That's good. Well, I mean, unfortunately, you had that moment, and then, you had a decent WWE run after the ECW left, but unfortunately, you left at ECW. Do you have anything to share with us as far as your departure?
Well, you mean departure from ECW or WWE as a whole?
From WWE as a whole.
Well, fortunately enough, I've never had any injuries to sideline me like I've had recently, obviously. But during that time, creative changes, and let me say that again, creative changes. I'll say it both ways, because that's exactly what it was. And you can be the most talented guy in the world, and you can be the greatest self-promoter. Look at Zack Ryder. But if there is someone who has a pen or pencil, if there's someone in higher places that does not recommend you or is not pulling for you or maybe against you or don't see what you're about, then they, have the power of persuasion that can work against you. And I don't know why or what, but once the changes happened, the thing happened with Michael Hayes, and then the whole writers got shifted around from ECW and SmackDown, and then all of a sudden, when Hayes came back, and the writers got shifted again. So everything that was about to go on with me was being placed on hold, or I was just being forgotten. So I took it upon myself to say, to do as everybody say, get yourself over and whatnot. So Pope said, "Well, geez, let me be Pope. Let me do this thing here." And Vince liked it. Vince liked it, and they wanted to go the whole hat route, staff route, the big white pontiff outfit and all that stuff. And that's not what I was shooting for. But it was just it was a wait and see thing, and it kept being put off, and I had a couple of dark matches with it, trying out the character. Even though I wasn't forewarned, I showed up one day and they said, "Hey, you're going to be Pope today." So it's just one of them things that after a while, I went out and had my last match with Matt Hardy on SmackDown while wrestling with the Flu. And I had tweaked my ankle at some point, and I was, not hurt, but kind of off for a minute. And then creatively, it was, well, you know what, we're doing this. At the time, it was said the $20 million cut, when that Black Friday came, and I got the, miles on a Black Tuesday, I think. But, I don't blame them. I can't say, it was wrong because they weren't doing anything with Elijah Burke at the time, and Elijah Burke wasn't producing for him, so.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't bad. It wasn't like I hate them or, they hate me, I don't think. But it was just one of those things where, I knew the call was going to come when they started doing all the cutting because, apparently they had to they wanted to get rid of $20 million. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like you said, at least you had a moment, there's not a lot of people who can say, there's not a lot of people who's been in the business for, 10, 20 years that can share that same moment that you just explained. Yeah, so
yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Dusty Rhodes was when Dusty was writing for Pope, Elijah Burke, not even writing, when Dusty was agenting for Elijah Burke, when he was in charge of my segments, and I'll always mention this, and much credit to Vince Russo when we get into the Pope character. That's going to shock a lot of people. But Dustin say, "Come on, Daddy, let's just do this thing. Let's roll with it, Daddy. Do your thing. I'll tell you if I like it. I'll tell you if I don't. Just take me here." And so Dusty still had that old school, and that's probably a horrible Dusty impersonation, but he still had that old school mentality, even though they had stuff written or may try to say this is what they want. Dusty would say, "Come on, Daddy, I know you good. You just go ahead and do what you're going to do, and I'll let you know if it's good or not." And that was it. So when I cut the promo on Batista, this is my yard. Everything that I said during those times, fortunately enough, mostly throughout my career, I wasn't scripted. I was allowed to just say and interpret it the way I wanted to, whatever they needed me to get across.
Wow. Yeah, and a lot of your character emulates, a Dusty Rhodes, so I can definitely see why he would co-sign, Elijah Burke. So I definitely can see that. Well, let's get into your TNA run. You had some high points, you had some low points. You were incredibly over in TNA for a lot of your career there as Pope D'Angelo De Niro, and so let us know about your experience in TNA.
Ain't that something? It's like being in one of those Las Vegas relationships where you get taken to one of the big casinos, and as long as the money is good and the blackjack table is spinning, that woman or that man who's the lesser part of the relationship, they'll always be happy. But once it stops, man, oh boy, all hell breaks loose. Makes you feel worthless. You'll have to replay that if you want to catch it, folks. But with that being said, it's TNA. I cannot say that it was bad. I can't say that I had a lot of good times, but again, with the good comes the bad, and I probably had a lot more. As good as it was, which is funny, I probably had a couple more low points in TNA than the good time, and I think we all know when the good was. And unless you're going to Vince Russo, I'll go ahead and segue into him right now. Are you going to Vince Russo route? Question later.
Yeah. You go for it. You can go.
Okay, I just want your permission, sir. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Pope does that every now and then. I'll go into the woods every now and then, but I'll come back out. I'll find my way. Anyways, when I got there, it was, I went to Vince Russo. First, I met up with Terry Taylor. We just had a chance meeting, and Terry was like, hey, Elijah, kid, whatever. We sat, we talked, we exchanged words, we exchanged numbers. He's like, man, I want to, I get you down here. And I love Terry. God bless you, Terry. I love Terry Taylor. Great guy. I have nothing great but to say about Terry Taylor. And man, he's just been, anyways, they've done, anyways. He got me down there, and Vince Russo's like, hey, man, they're going to bring me in. Dirty Dutch was like, you're going to be a heel? You're going to be a baby face? What is it? I don't know what they want you to be, because they kept switching it up so many times as to who or what Elijah Burke was going to be. Originally, I'm talking, this is before I even made my on-screen debut. They switched me so many times, when I had the dark match against oh, gosh, I hope you don't hate me for this. I can't remember. I remember who it is. I just had a brain fart. But when I had my dark match, before I went out there, it changed 4 different times, maybe 5. Jim Cornette, well, what is it going to be? They can't make up their mind. I tell you what, you just go out there and be you. You choose. Love Jim Cornette. He birthed me into this business along with Danny Davis.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I showed a video to Vince Russo, which was a promo presentation, a little vignette of my vision of Pope. And when I showed Vince Russo this DVD, he came running out the room, not literally halfway walking, halfway running, with a power walk. He said, bro, this is going to suck. Bro, I'm telling you, bro, that's money, man. That's money, bro. You have to do that. You have to be Pope. Forget Elijah. You have to be Pope, bro. I already got the name, D'Angelo De Niro, money, because that's what Pope is. And so therefore, again, they didn't know who Pope was. They didn't know what Pope was. But Vince Russo saw that, and he said, you be Pope. And so when I showed up to make my debut at Hard Justice, or what was it called? The TNA, Angelo Burke. It was Hard Justice at first.
Yeah, it was Hard. Yeah. It was Hard Justice, and they did a little ECW type of reincarnation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It looked like you didn't take 2 kinds of that, Chris. Anyway,
wasn't a big fan of it.
Well, I'm sure you're not in that boat alone, brother. But yeah. So when I showed up to do that Hard Justice, man, nobody knew what or who or how Pope would look. But when Pope walked through the door, the compliments, the head turning, and everything just went through the roof. It was like, wow, this is unique. This is different. This is going to be good. And, and so Pope took off from there. And I never, ever was told how to be Pope. Well, at least not at that point.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a great story. And I've followed you since you were with Tarkai, and I think that I don't know if you prefer a babyface or a heel better, but I think that your run as a babyface, you were incredibly over in TNA, and it really seemed like they were trying to. And I remember you kept shifting from face to heel, and I'm like, what are they doing?
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
I
wasn't
horrible.
a fan of it.
That's. I can't point fingers because I don't know. At one point it was one guy running, in charge, and it was 2 guys. Ed Ferreira came, and then it was 3 guys, and then there became about 10 chiefs sitting at a table, up to now. So I can't really say why that happened, but I can tell you it was very piss poor to have Pope jumping back and forth without explanation, without given a reason, and without any purpose. And any time that an individual goes out there, an entertainer, a wrestler goes out to the ring and does not have purpose, and that does relate to an individual, if you have no purpose, then your reasoning, your effort, all that stuff that you can try to do, man, you can just put it in the trunk and leave it there, because the people cannot invest in your character if it has no purpose. And as over as you say and people have said, as Pope was at the time, my purpose went out the window, and once my purpose was lost, Pope was lost.
Wow, well said. So, who was your best opponent that you faced both in WWE and TNA?
WWE, as best in working with in WWE, well, I can come from a fan standpoint. I come from a work standpoint. I think, again, that's going to go back to CM Punk in WWE because we wrestled each other more times. I think I wrestled him in ECW WWE more than I did in anybody else. So I think that will go to CM Punk. And one of the things I liked about working Punk during that time was that me and him, we would go to the ring with nothing but a finish sometimes. And we would go out there, we would work old school, and we would actually challenge ourselves to work old school. And sometimes when working old school, we actually lay some things in there for the benefit of the fans, not for our body, of course. But, yeah, so it would probably be Punk. Of course, I was a huge fan of wrestling, having the opportunity to wrestle Flair up there, him being one of my idols, and wrestling Chris Benoit. And, you know, one time, and it's still one of the high points, great matches that I like to look at as far as my career goes. I love that match, and he taught me a lot. So, yeah, that's like taboo, huh? Oh gosh, we can't say nothing about Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was one of my favorite matches. I mean, truth be told. So, but CM Punk will probably be my best opponent, as well as Tommy Dreamer. And Tommy Dreamer was the guy that hired me. He was my favorite ECW wrestler. You know, him being a fan of the Dream as well, which is why, hence the name Tommy the Dreamer. So, yeah, so those are the guys up there. And I love beating on good old Balls in Mahoney. Where is he? Anybody heard from Balls to Balls? Give me a call. In TNA, a slew of people, but the top of the list obviously goes to AJ Styles, who I have no idea how he cannot be considered the greatest wrestler or the best wrestler going today. I mean, AJ is simply, as his name says, phenomenal. Desmond Wolfe was great because he's roughy, and the stuff that he did, and merging his style in the ring, especially with this brawler that the Pope is, it just worked, and I enjoyed my time with him, and I learned some things from him as well. And last but not least, some more freaking Joe.
Oh yeah.
And I feel bad to even have to mention this, but man, me, myself, Pope, that is, and Samoa Joe, we were so bamboozled, we were hoodwinked. I mean, we were just on the back burner, I think, because there's Pope versus Samoa Joe could have been so much more than what it was, and we went out there and we would slap the hell out of each other, and we would lay it in, and it was all for no avail. Why? Because, as I said earlier, purpose, and the purpose was not there. There was nothing for the fans to invest in, to sink their teeth in. All they saw was Pope showing pictures of a pig and having, you know, babies and whatever the case may have been, and trying to adopt dogs. But where was the purpose? Why all of a sudden was Pope a bad guy, and what was Joe's reason for coming after Pope? There was no storyline explanation whatsoever.
That's what I didn't understand. One of the, like I said, switches from face to heel. I remember that angle vividly, and I didn't understand why you played the heel, and that baffled me.
Again, I have no idea. All I do know is that speaking for myself and our Samoa Joe, but we knew. We knew that we were in a spot, so we just made the best of it, and we went out there, and we tried every night to go out there and make our match mean something, and that's what we did, and I believe we did that regardless of the fact. I mean, go back and watch Lockdown, me and him in the cage. We basically went out there cold, but you know, we didn't have much of a build up as the other storylines, but we went out there and we made it work, and we got the reaction we sought out to get.
Yeah. Well, at least in that angle, you went over Joe a couple of times, so that's
a couple of times. Yeah, but you know what? That's not that don't work for Pope. I have no problem winning, losing. I don't care about that stuff. It's about being a part of something magical. And whether I was face or heel, I did not care. Listen, I never asked to go face when I was Pope the heel against Suicide. They just the people received it so well, and all of a sudden they said, "Hey, let's make Pope a good guy." And I'm like, "No, I don't. Just let me be Pope. Don't try to change me. And if you're going to put me in the good guy slot, don't try to change the Pope character. Let me remain the way that the people accepted me, because it's when you start trying to change it and cater to to the people, they don't want that. They want to be the one to choose how you are. That's why they pay. And granted, it's not the WWE where Vince can shove it down your throat and you take it, because Vince, knows what works best for his product. So you can complain about it all day long, but you're going to go back and watch. And don't tell me you're not watching, because if you're not watching, you can't complain about what happens every Monday night or Friday night. So, but yeah, man. And again, before you move on, I just want to I want to give. And this probably don't make me popular, man, but I just want to give a thanks to Vince Russo for allowing Pope to be Pope. He, like Dusty Rhodes, I'm probably giving credit to two of the most not
notorious.
So well. Yes, that's crazy, right? So I guess I'll be in there soon. But yeah, man, Vince Russo never, ever scripted Pope. Funny story, Vince would come back sometimes for an interview, a backstage pre-tape or whatever, like, for instance, what I did with Devon and his boys when they attacked him. Vince Russo would come around and say, "Okay, Pope, what we got?" And I'm like, "What you mean what we got? What you need me to have, I mean, what did I say? Okay, what you saying, Pope? I don't know. I don't even know what direction we're going. Nobody told me nothing." But to Vince Russo's credit, and that's how hectic it would be at times, but to Vince Russo's credit, he would say, "This is what we're trying to accomplish, Pope. Go do it." And that's what I would do, and he would like it for many of the times he would like it. It's very rare that he said, "Let's do it again," or change it. And so I really appreciate anybody in the business like that. Again, that's some of the guys I've already mentioned to you. Terry Taylor was like that, Vince Russo, Dusty Rhodes, and a couple others, including it for I'm not going to mention him. That's just going to give me nuclear heat.
Yeah. So Ed Ferrara was, talk about the Notorious Clan, he was definitely one of them, especially with his Oklahoma gimmick in the WCW. So,
but you know the funny part about that is, to me, as a fan watching during that time with the Oklahoma character, I mean, have we not witnessed some of the things that they have done to good old JR? And we want to, everybody wanted to crucify Ed for his little interpretation of poking fun. And we have black hats being pulled out of JR's butt after his surgery and stuff. It's like the pot calling the kettle black.
I definitely understand that take. So you were talking about CM Punk being one of your favorite wrestlers. So there was a controversy a little bit ago about him making some sarcasm about you in the ring. So I'm live on air now. Was it a work or was it a shoot?
Well, number one, I'm not there, so I don't know what CM Punk's thoughts are at this time. I know at that time that myself and CM Punk, we meshed very, very well in the ring, and we had fun. Yeah, we much like, again, as I'm into a new breed or anything, you're going to have your disagreements here and there, but I don't know CM Punk outside of the ring. So I don't know how much of a work or if that's a shoot. I don't know that. But, again, that is CM Punk. And this is a guy that has risen in the past couple of years and have become notorious for saying things that is going to elicit a reaction. And, man, if there's ever been a guy that can put his finger on the pulse of the Internet, like Kevin Nash, then CM Punk has definitely risen up the ranks when it comes to that. So I don't know, but I don't know him personally, and he don't know me personally. So if that is true and that is CM Punk's feelings, all I can say is he never said that to my face. So you take that for what it is.
All right, live on air. I like it. So who is your dream opponent?
Dream opponent. Man, I don't know if I can say I have a dream opponent at the current. I mean, because I'm such a historian, I guess, when it comes to wrestling. So, you know, my dream was to get in the ring with Ric Flair. That was my dream.
Let me rephrase the question then. Say you were given the opportunity to wrestle at WrestleMania 30, okay? Who was the first person, if you had the choice to wrestle anyone, who was the first person that you would choose to wrestle at WrestleMania 30?
CM Punk.
CM Punk, okay. Yes, that sounds good. I can definitely see how that would be. Yeah. I can definitely see how that would work. So, all right, I got some name affiliations for you. I'm going to say a name, and you just let me know what you think about them. So, let's start off with Chris. Let's start off with Chris Jericho.
Smart. Are these one words or are these compound words that make a sentence?
You can elaborate. You can elaborate as far as you want to go.
Smartest, one of the smartest and helpful, cool guy, but one of the smartest, current, soon-to-be legendary wrestling figures that is currently active. He has the stuff together. He knows when to leave, when to come back, and he knows that spot's going to always be available for him. And even now he's willing, much unlike a lot of folk, he's willing to do business. So smart.
Yeah, he's quick to put people over. Sometimes a lot of people don't like his selflessness, but he's that guy. So how about Randy?
You know what? I'm sorry. I need to back up, and I hope you can make note of this. I do want to back up because I feel it's unjust and unright that I said what I said when you asked me if I can. I do mean I would love to wrestle CM Punk if I had that opportunity, but there's one guy above all of the guys in the WWE right now whom I personally would choose to wrestle, and that is Dolph freaking Ziggler.
Oh, wow.
That guy. That to me, he's the guy for me. For Pope, that guy is the guy.
Yeah, that's
if he was able to, if he was able to bounce back from the Spirit Squad that I wasn't willing to do, make everybody forget that. It wasn't that I was willing. It was just that I was given the opportunity to turn it down. If Vince McMahon had told me I had to do it, then it would have been done. Vince gave Vince gave Elijah Burke the opportunity to turn it down. He said, if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. And I wasn't comfortable with it, so I didn't do it. But Dolph Ziggler did it, and everybody else is gone. But Dolph came back with a new gimmick, and he made everybody forget, and his work rate is just through the roof. It's just through the roof. It's Mr. Perfect all over again for me. And I know he don't like that comparison a lot, but he has so many traits of so many of the greats. The Mr. Perfect, the Macho Man Randy Savage. He just got that certain thing about him. I think he's going to be a great world champion for years to come once they finally pull the plug on him.
Yeah. I think that the match would be great. You and Dolph Ziggler, and the bill would be great too because both of you are very good workers. So, and you have.
I appreciate that.
You're good on the mic, so you can definitely build it up. So, how about Randy Orton?
He can carry the other load. I carry the mic load. How about that? Dan?
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. So,
Randy Orton. Randy Orton, one cool, laid-back mofo. but don't get on this bad side.
Gotcha. Have you had some experiences with having some conflict with them?
No, I've had no Pope, Elijah Burke, I'm stuck on this Pope thing because that's just who I am. But I've never had any conflict I can think of during my time there, especially with none of the top guys or semi-top guys. I never had any conflict. I may have had some people that didn't, maybe toot their nose up at me or something like that, but I was told to walk with my shoulders down once, even though that's the way I walk. So, I mean, that can be considered a conflict. So it's really, it's a shame that everybody has to describe, their time up there walking on eggshells. But, it was something I just didn't do. I just believe in respecting everybody. I'm not going to walk on my tiptoes, but I respect everybody, and I'm going to do everything that's required of me. So, yeah, I've seen other people have their run-ins, and I know what it's about. But Randy Orton, one cool mofo, but don't cross him.
Awesome. How about Devon?
Devon? Devon? Did you say Devon?
Devon,
oh,
absolutely.
God. As in Brother Devon?
As in Brother Devon.
Listen, let me tell you something. Okay, this man was dumb enough to bring his wife to the Impact Zone. Okay? And yeah, you put this on the record, okay? This is a shoot. He was dumb enough to bring his wife to the Impact Zone, and then she got lust in the eyes for Pope, and then they gotta turn it into a storyline all of a sudden. Devon, oh gosh, I think Bully will even tell you that, and that's not even on camera. He'll tell you Devon's a doofus. Anyways, but outside of that, Devon's a great guy. He's a little lost sometimes in his thoughts, bless his heart. But he's a good guy, good character, good dad, and I've even sometimes when he had it really, really rough, I had to take the kids school shopping. So what does that tell you?
Be sure not to bring his wife to the Impact Zone anymore. Well, there's no more Impact Zone because they went.
Once Pope listen, everybody say what happened. Once Pope got a hold of her, she never was able to come back.
Uh-oh. I guess the Pope is pimping, huh?
Let that tell the story, Daddy.
Uh-oh. Well, how about Hulk Hogan?
Man, Hogan is pimping. And he is one of the greatest chess players on screen and off screen that we probably, will never truly know how great of a chess player he is. But I'm sure a lot of us know just by the game that he spits. But my dealing with Hogan has been nothing but positive. And Hogan was for brother. So I ain't got nothing but love for Hulk. He took time to talk to me or whatnot. I still want to know whose decision it was to pull the title off of me at Lockdown, but hey, that's another story. And I don't know who actually was for me and who was actually against it. But history has a way of working itself out, and if it wasn't meant for me at the time, then it just wasn't meant. But I love my opportunity to work with such a great mind, and talk personal talk from time to time with Hogan. And one of the main things I loved about Hogan was that, man, he don't mind sharing those stories. That's why I like being under Hogan and Ric Flair. Sean share some stories with me. I love, and Terry Taylor, I love hearing the road stories, man. I love hearing about the ring, and the things that happened, that were, just the inside stuff. So I love that about Hogan. And whenever I went up to him, he always had something to say. Even when he was in pain, he always, had a good little laugh for me. So that's ask me about Balls in Mahoney. Ask me about Marty. I don't even want to talk about him, but gosh.
How about Vince McMahon?
Vince McMahon. I would think working beside Vince McMahon is Working under him, rather. I don't want to misconstrue that. But working under Vince is
shoot it straight here,
it was
Pope. I said, shoot it straight here, Pope.
Oh, well, I'm trying. You know, Pope is very prolific when it comes to analogies. So I'm trying to work on my analogy here. But I want to say that uncomfortable, that acceptance but uncomfortable feeling sometimes you get when you're invited over to that girl's house and her dad is sitting at the other end of the table, and even though he's already gave you the stamp of approval, it's still like, you know, he's sitting there, and you know he's there, so it kind of makes you drop your fork every now and then, or chew a certain way, or pick up your drink a certain way. Yeah, so that's Vince. Hell, Vince, they came to me Vince wore my skull cap out on ECW, okay? So he's cool with me. You know, I mean, I never had a bad word come from Vince. I never got yelled at by Vince. I never got cursed out by Vince. All I got was good job. Keep it up. That's a replay right there. You're going in the opening. That's all I ever got from Vince. I never got anything except that and constructive criticism. And the only thing I can recall is shoot the half, which when I was trying to pull sat behind Boss Mahoney over, and I pulled them over by his flubber, and I didn't shoot the half. Mm-hmm. You know, but Vince was, you know, he was hands-on with me plenty of times as far as in talking to me and telling me what he wanted and where we were going. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And to be in the ring with Vince when he introduced me out there is one of the highlights of my career. You know, I reached over and said, hey, Vince, you know, this is a Kodak moment. Let's give it to him. That wasn't planned, you know. And then they turned it into the little picture. That wasn't planned. I was just, you know, doing what I felt was right, which either he was going to say good stuff or he was going to say, what the hell did you do that for? You know, so.
It's a good thing that you got the good end of the stick. So.
Well, Vince is about money, so anything that works, right? Anything that works, that's what he's about.
That's what he's all about, yeah. So we have time for one caller. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a question from a caller. Just let us know your name and where you're from and what you have for Elijah Burke. You on the air? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Your name, where you're from, and any question or comment you have for Elijah.
Yeah, my name's Dave Holland, and I'm in Canal, Winchester, Ohio. And this has been great, too, just being able to hear you guys speak. And I guess my question would be, what would you say is your biggest regret throughout your career? Your biggest regret?
Thank you so much.
Playing politics.
I'm sorry?
That's my biggest regret, and thank you for the question, by the way, and thank you for enjoying the interview. My biggest regret is not playing politics. I've never been a political player behind the scenes. And sometimes in this business, not being a political player can be the worst thing that can affect your career. Not being in a clique, not being in a group. It's kind of hard when you are a straight-up type of guy and you just walk into work and you want to do your job and then leave and do it again the next day. And so sometimes in this business, having a clique or being down, going out to drink, Pope don't drink, Pope don't smoke, Pope don't club. Oh, gosh, sorry, fans, but Pope don't do any of those things. So because I don't go out and I don't hang out and I'm not in the midst of some of the big wigs when they're getting drunk or they're in the whorehouses or strip clubs or whatever the case may be, not saying that they do that, but that's my biggest regret, somewhat. Not the end stuff I told you, but just not being in the clique. I'm a very sociable person. I love to laugh. I laugh in the worst type situations as well, but I just never got down with folk to basically have a pawn in the front office, pretty much. So But that's at no fault of my own. I can only show up to work and do what you require of me, and that's what I've always done. But I don't do the going out afterwards and trying to get some sloppy behind rants and being down with the boys because, you know, I'm screwing the same fat, nasty, horrible chick that they're screwing. And if that makes me not cool, then so be it, Daddy. I got my own thing, you know.
All right, there you go. That's what it's all about right there. So. All right, so the interview has been fantastic. Finally, Pope, where can we find you at now?
Hey, I appreciate that. You didn't even ask me about my Pope TV, but I will like to talk about that.
Here's the avenue for that. Here's the avenue for Pope TV.
Thank you, my friend. And you've been wonderful. But theElijahExpress.com, by the way, is my website, and it has all of my social media outlets as far as Facebook.com/Elijah Burke, B-U-R-K-E. Y'all know the spelling of my name. Also, I have a Facebook fan page, which is Facebook.com, The Black Pope. That's with a D-A. And the Black Pope, D-A, Black Pope, is also my Twitter handler. Last but not least, Pope, as of today, 30 minutes before this interview, to coincide with my 10-year anniversary and your 1-year anniversary, this interview, Pope launched Pope TV for you. That's Pope TV, the number 4, the letter U. And that is going well. I was doing that before you called. There's so many positive responses I'm getting, and one of the main reasons is because of the PIMP movement, positively influencing many people. I can't hold you up talking about it, but please, if you get the opportunity, go see the good that Pope, along with many other people, are contributing to, donating some funds to help somebody else in less fortunate situations than our very own. So, Again, that's the PIMP movement, and you can read more about it at theElijahExpress.com. And, Chris, as soon as this interview is over with, I want you to go to YouTube and check out Pope TV for you and subscribe.
Pope TV for you, all of the listeners. We have many, many listeners that listen to the show. Once again, Pope TV for you on YouTube. Subscribe to that. It's been a pleasure very much. And, use this interview, if you can pub this interview on Pope TV or on Twitter or whatever you can.
Absolutely.
We will also appreciate it. Pope, it's been a pleasure. You've been a great interviewee, and we definitely thank you so much for your time and all of your wonderful stories. And I got one quote for you, and that's I've wined and dined with kings and queens. I slept in alleyways and dined on pork and beans. So that's your boy Dusty Rhodes. So we're going to continue that. We're going to continue the pimp movement. Again, Pimp TV for you, all of the listeners.
Pope
Pimp
TV.
I'm sorry. Pope TV for you. Pope TV.
That's right. The number 4, and the letter U. The number 4 and the letter U.
Pope TV.
And also
for you.
I'm sorry, Pope TV for you. Yes, sir. And also, guys, I appreciate it, Chris. And for those that have been waiting, Pope makes his return to PWS Pro Wrestling Syndicate WrestleMania weekend. If you're in the New Jersey, New York area, please stop by and watch Pope pimp slap John Morrison for stealing those shades. We still have unresolved issues, but he stole Pope's shades, and he got an answer to that. I appreciate you, Chris.
Pro Wrestling Syndicate. And before you go, I am now on a movement to try to find Balls Mahoney for you.
Man, if you can do that, good grief, do that for me. You put, and I gotta find that Marty Jannetty and what he tried to do to Balls Mahoney. Did you see that footage?
I heard about it, but I didn't see it. I'm gonna have to check it out. I heard it was pretty.
Find Ballsy for me. Yeah, find Ballsy for me, man, so I can figure out what's going on. As a matter of fact, if you can get him and you get him for an interview, Pope is always here for you, Daddy. Just send that link over to Angela and Elijah booking, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. I'll bring on Balls Mahoney, and you'll be on with them. Thank you so much for the for that open door, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, sir.
Hey, thank you, my friend.